Welcome to Melbourne Sex Workers. I'm Eden, and I'm so sorry that I've disappeared. If you have been in the WhatsApp group or if you are on Instagram or Blue Sky, then you may know what's been going on. There's been some changes, there's been some things happening, and I also don't sound like myself today. It's when it rains, it pours, right? Or, it comes in threes. So that's where we're at. I have been putting off recording this episode and just sort of wanting to get everything ready and organized and clear for you guys. And then, of course, I sound like this. I don't quite know what's happened, but I am sounding different. I kind of lost my voice yesterday and I'm struggling. But the show must go on. And it's kind of been that vibe lately. So if you know, you know. And I'm solo casting on this one. And there's new co-host. I have plans for the progression of the podcast, but committing to a weekly podcast is a lot for a lot of people, and I don't expect that at all. And I also don't know if if I'll continue releasing every week. It may be different just because I'm needing to focus on a couple of different things. But before we move too far ahead, let's go back. So the last we left you, it was the Australian Adult Industry Awards. And guess what? We won Best Podcast. It's been crazy. The timing is hilarious, some may say. I'm laughing, so that's okay. But on the lead up to the awards, lots of different things were happening and lots of conversations were happening about what to do and what to move forward on. And originally I had sort of thought around maybe launching a new show, and that's still a possibility. It's still in the works just because of the overall structure of the podcast. I didn't kind of realize that maybe Melbourne Sex Workers was a little bit limiting. Like there's a whole world out there. And I know we're covering Melbourne and it's been fun, but there's a lot of fun people outside of Melbourne as well that I want to connect with. So that's a thing. But in the meantime, continuing on with Melbourne Sex Workers, which is now an award-winning podcast, which is crazy wild. I was absolutely in shock when they called out MSW, Melbourne Sex Workers. Like, I could not believe it, and I still can't. I know that this crazy machine got turned off recently, and I'm thinking I may be in an alternate universe. That may be what's happening. That might explain my voice as well. But we won. So thank you guys so much for voting. I appreciate it so much. I feel so blessed and so grateful. And in all honesty, the last year and a half running this podcast, it's been a wild fucking ride. It's been amazing, and I've really, truly loved it. And it's not been easy, it's been fun and amazing, and I'm so blessed with all the people that I've connected with throughout the podcast, but it's really not been easy. So, it takes something to put this whole thing together. It really does. It takes money, it takes time, and it takes effort. And I have sacrificed and I've wanted to. I've chosen that sacrifice on, because if I'm focusing on one thing, that means something else is missing out. So there have been times where I've said no to paid work just to get this podcast done because the structure has not been organized as I would have liked it to be. So I've had to give up work. I've had to give up sleep. I've had to stay up late. And even though I sound tired, it's not late. It's okay. But I don't want to put off recording any longer. So yeah, I've put in a lot of effort and I've loved it and I want to keep going. And I'll keep going on my own. And I will be inviting a multitude of guests on. I have some really, really exciting things planned. I did an interview today, which was great, and I was very apologetic about my voice. But you guys will get that one next, probably. Also, within the structural changes of the podcast, I have been asked to delete all previous episodes with the previous host. And, getting that news was definitely a surprise and a shock, and I didn't expect it. I was at a stage where I knew that I needed to move on and I needed to focus on my goals. And, I've always had a vision for this podcast. And there's been times where I felt like that vision wasn't shared. So after a lot of deep reflection, I was fully ready to start my own show. But the way that it's all turned out, it was announced on Instagram and that post is no longer available. So this is what you've got, and I hope that you are still happy to stay because I promise you it's just going to get better. I'm sorry to say it. It's going to get so much better. I'm so pumped. There has been so much stuff that I have wanted to do in terms of expanding and ideas and people that I would love to have on. And now there's no one to stop me. So it's fine. Everything is fine. And it's going to be great. So let's just see how this season goes. But also in other news that you may or may not know, if you're not following those socials, I would recommend it. And those are just going to get better too. I am looking for a social media person. So if that is a skill of yours, if you are listening and you're like, damn, these social media posts suck, get in contact with me and let's work together because I know that it could be better. But I'm a multi-skilled woman, but I'm not skilled at that. I'm sorry, I suck at the social media side of things. I'm trying, I totally promise. Also, very funny timing was the awards night just so happened to be a really tricky night for me physically. So a few months ago, around Easter time, I found out that I had skin cancer. So, there's different types of skin cancer. And it was the type, I think it's called basal something or other. It's the slowest growing skin cancer. So not as scary, but I had this skin cancer on my scalp and it was a fairly significant size. Or I had 3 spots of skin cancer there on my scalp. So I got that removed, which was crazy. I was awake. I had like 6 needles put into my head. And they basically like de-scalped a portion of my head. It was so weird. It was so weird. and I was left with 42 stitches in the size of like a horseshoe shape. They had to do like this skin flap thing. It was a whole thing. And I just so happened to be in the midst of that recovery on the awards night, which I was so sad about because I had been looking forward to the awards for months. Obviously, I was really excited. I shared with you guys I had bought a really beautiful dress and I was so ready to have a good night. And unfortunately, I was in a lot of pain. You know, at the start of the night, I just sort of pushed through and smiled through it. But then towards the end, like not long after they announced Best Podcast, I stayed for, you know, as long as I could. I was pretty close to the end. And then I was like, nope, I can't. I need to go to bed. I had a bad headache and yeah, my head was hurting and no painkillers were doing anything. So it was really hard. It was a really hard night and I was really devastated because I would have loved to go to the after party. I got to chat with a handful of people that took home awards. There was awards that we did not win. I didn't get Best Girlfriend Experience, maybe next year. But to get Best Podcast, I was just absolutely blown away and grateful for. So that did make it all worthwhile. So yeah, apologies to anybody who might have been there that night. I did sort of explain to a couple of people that I was a bit, you know, struggling. A few people sort of came up to chat to me and I'm like, actually, I'm really struggling right now. I got a lot of stitches in my head and this whole thing is really a lot. I honestly think it was just like I just needed to lay down. I just needed to get to bed. It was a big, big day. I got to go to lunch with Isabel and her community from Escort Academy because Isabel was up for Best Escort Mentor, which unfortunately she didn't get, but there's always next year. And then I went and got my hair and makeup done professionally, which was really tricky actually, like getting the hair done with all those stitches in my head, but it was what it was. And very impressively, you couldn't even tell that, you know, if I moved a layer of my hair, yeah, you'd see the insane, you know, mess that I was left with. But that's what it was. In the end, I think I looked fabulous. I think I was really quite happy with how all of that turned out. And yeah, it was a great night and I was really happy to be there. And, you know, I'd absolutely love to go back next year and hopefully be in a much more better position. I still can't get over my voice. This is crazy. So that's that. Skin cancer, one Best Podcast, and going solo. Just the one Melbourne sex worker to bring you episodes. But like I said, this is the last solo cast you'll get of mine. I love collaborating with people. I love sharing different perspectives. And I really do want to bring forth a lot more community within the industry and education and safety and empowerment. There's a lot of topics that I couldn't really explore previously that I am so excited to moving forward. So bear with me. As I mentioned, there has been a request to delete all previous episodes with the previous co-host. So unfortunately, you'll have to say goodbye to those ones. But in terms of the interviews, I am definitely going to take the time to re-edit those interviews and repost them. So that's kind of what you'll get on the lead up is I'll just busily be in the editing room because I know what it takes to put these podcasts together, to record, or even the planning leading up to it. The planning, recording, editing, publishing, for some of our guests that have come on, they have taken the time out of their day, and I don't want to just waste that. I don't want to waste anyone's time. For some of our guests that have been on, the episodes have been a really integral part of their business. And again, I am not going to throw that away. So I've had listeners reach out to me, and there's been discussion in the WhatsApp group, and this has been a really interesting natural consequence of the podcast, which I really, really want to continue. And if anything, I want more for you guys. So for the men listening that have gotten so much value out of this podcast, I have repeatedly been told that this podcast has helped people's mental health. And I think that is because it's definitely partly getting to see what it's like on the other side, getting that little bit of insight into this secret, private, discreet world. But I think also it's the lightheartedness that has come as well. And that's, again, something that I don't want to lose moving forward. But to have so many people tell me that how much they look forward to these weekly episodes and how much listening to them has improved their mental health, it can be the highlight of their day or the highlight of their week. Some people go back and re-listen to episodes, and I really want that to keep going. And I really want to also, I really hope that the men out there, the consumers of the industry, I really hope that you guys find some community and connection within each other as well. I think that is something that really could come out of our WhatsApp group, is you guys are just wonderful, and let's bring on the bromances. Let's be friends, everybody. My voice is so bad. It's actually kind of funny, but I just want us to all be friends. We don't need to be lonely. We don't need to be listening to the podcast on our own. We can get together and, hang out. No, but I really do appreciate and value that somehow this is helping people's mental health and well-being, and that's what I want to continue. I want to continue bringing value, improving people's lives, contributing to people's lives in a positive way. So that's not going to end either. And then obviously for the ladies, you're the reason why I wanted to start this, was I wanted to spread the good word that life can be better and work can be better. And there's many, many amazing things that we can get from this. And also providing that space of discussing the hard bits and the traumatic bits and everything in between, the challenging bits. There's so much. There is absolutely so much. So there you have it. There is the update. Okay, guys. And I apologize about saying goodbye to some episodes. So if you haven't listened to a bunch of episodes, maybe this is your time to binge. Feel free to binge until they get deleted. It will be a process. And if I need to take legal action on that, I will. Sorry, I'm such a bitch. But it's true. I don't know how this is going to turn out. I really wanted this to sound better for you guys. But for some reason, yeah, this is my voice now. But stay tuned, follow along, and I cannot wait to share more and more with you. So till next week, thank you so much for listening. Thank you so much for voting. And thank you so much for being a part of this journey so far. And I love you.